When you're making a low income, becoming a millionaire seems like a total impossibility. However, what if I told you that with $40 and some patience, you could achieve a seven-figure wealth with much less work than you'd expect? I know it sounds too good to be true, but in a few minutes I will share everything you need to know to pull it off, and I'll also share a mistake most people make when trying to get rich that you don't want to miss. First off, because I'm a numbers guy, I think it's best that before I share with you all the tips and tricks you need to become a millionaire on a low income, that you understand how the math plays out. If you can manage to free up just $40 a week, which is a few coffees or nights at the bar for most people, and invest it for the next 40 years, receiving the average S&P 500 annual return of 10%, you'd have just over $1 million in 4 decades' time. Now, I know I said with just $40 in the beginning, but you and I both knew there was more to that statement than what it plainly implied. Now, obviously, the scenario I've just depicted is rather simplified, and there are a host of different factors that could impact your final result. For instance, you could receive more than a 10% annual return and either have more money after 40 years or hit the $1 million mark sooner. On the flip side, you could have nearly $1 million in the 39th year and see a massive market dip right as you are about to cross the finish line. This is what's known as the sequence of returns risk, or sequence risk, which is the risk that an investor will experience negative portfolio returns very late in their working lives or early in retirement or any other time you plan on, depending on your nest egg to get by. However, this risk is outside of your control, but what is in your control are the actions you take on a daily basis to ensure you keep investing your $40 a week, which, when we look a little closer, should be manageable no matter how low of an income you're presently making. Now, when I say manageable, this is what I mean. Let's say that right now you're making $40,000 a year. After taxes, that would leave you with roughly $2,500 a month, of which we are saying you must invest $160 worth of it to become a millionaire. That requires you to save just 6.4% of your after-tax income, and if you're not already saving this much every month, it would only take a few spending tweaks to get there in most cases. For instance, the average American spends $240 a month on entertainment alone, which means that cutting down this one expense can leave you with the money you need to eventually become a seven-figure individual. Now, so far, I've made becoming a millionaire sound about as easy as putting on your pants in the morning, but despite this, most people can't pull it off. Right now, only about 8% of Americans are millionaires, which means that if you are able to take the steps I am sharing in this video and employ them for the next few decades, you will be amongst a rather small but rich group of people. Speaking of these steps, there are multiple actions you must take in order to make your dream of becoming a millionaire on a low income a reality, with the first of them being one that most people struggle with. You see, everyone wants to be a millionaire, unless you're a billionaire, that is, but they don't commit to the goal of becoming financially free. Sadly, this is where they go wrong. In fact, it's kind of like trying to lose weight. You may want to drop 20 pounds, but you may not be willing to do daily cardio, lift weights, or turn down going out for drinks with your friends. Well, in the same way that you need to be committed to a diet, you need to commit to becoming a millionaire. This commitment manifests itself in a multitude of different ways, with the first being budgeting. As someone who earned a low income for years and interacts with many people who still do, what I often see is that the less people make, the more ignorant they allow themselves to be about their finances. Now, this isn't the case for everyone, of course, but as you can imagine, if you're making a low income and feel like you have no financial hope, you could reason that you wouldn't be overly inclined to dial in your budget. However, without one, freeing up that $40 a week and eventually becoming a millionaire will absolutely never happen. Fortunately, if you hate budgeting as much as I hate waiting for my luggage after a long flight, then I have good news to share. No, it's not that I'm going to start only bringing a carry-on when I travel. It's that you can build a solid budget in just 5 minutes that will take you even less time to manage. Curious how? Let's dive in. Let me introduce you to what I call the split budget. After talking with many budget haters, I've come to learn that their biggest gripe is having to segregate all of their costs, which adds to the time and complexity of using a budget. This is why the split budget only has 2 groupings: spending and saving. First, you set your savings target, which for the purposes of your quest to become a millionaire should be at least $40 a week or $160 a month. Next, subtract this amount from your after-tax income, and that's the money you have to spend on all of your costs for the month, like your rent, groceries, and gas. The upside of this budget is that it will take you less time to build than that new recipe your girlfriend has been begging you to make. However, What you gain in time, you lose out on in precision. What I mean by this is that you will have less transparency into where all of your money is going, but at the end of the day, what we care about is achieving your goal savings target, which the split budget is capable of helping you achieve. However, having a budget and actually sticking to it are two different things. And the next step in this path to millionaire status comes down to rejecting modern consumerism. No matter what you do these days, you are constantly being bombarded by spending triggers. It could be an ad on YouTube, a post on Instagram, or a flyer you get in the mail. Someone is always trying to pick your pockets, and if you have a wavering commitment to financial freedom, then it's easy to fall victim to their tactics. Not to mention, you may also end up being your own worst enemy when it comes to spending, especially when your emotions get involved. For instance, you could have a bad day at work and find yourself binge shopping on Amazon. Alternatively, you could end up at the store buying new outfits after that guy you planned a date with stood you up. The point is that financial success requires both a plan to fend off external threats and those that exist within us, and can include things like reducing your social media usage or exercising when you find your stress levels mounting. On a more positive note, what you'll also want to do to make your financial dream a reality is to take advantage of free money whenever possible. And probably the best option for most people to do this is to capitalize on their employer's 401k match. For instance, right now, the average American company offers a 401k match of 6% of your salary, and roughly 86% of employers have this option available for those who want to take advantage of it. So, for instance, if you make $40,000 a year, your employer will match a contribution up to $2,400, which would help a lot in your quest for financial freedom. And if you agree, let me know by hitting the like button below. Now, while most employers do offer this means of investing, some don't, and that's okay, because this isn't the only option you have in order to invest. Many people prefer to self-invest, and that's perfectly okay as well. However, there is a right and a wrong way to go about this. The wrong way is to spend a ton of time researching and buying and selling stocks. Why is that, you may be wondering? Because no matter how good of an investment you make with $40 a week, it isn't going to make a material difference in your wealth while sucking up time you're better off using to learn more skills that will elevate your income. The right way to invest is to set up an automated investment into your preferred index fund and go about your life. Each and every week, your contribution should be pulled from your bank into your brokerage account where your favorite funds are bought. And if you end up receiving a return similar to that of past performance, you should be set up for future financial success. Now, I love telling people to set up this type of system, not only because most people are lazy, but because it is also a great way to combat the biggest hindrance to this plan working, which is being impatient. We live in a world today where everything is instant. We have instant meals, instant messages, and instant headaches. When you forget to wish your girlfriend a happy birthday just 1 minute after midnight. Because of this, we want everything now. And this is especially true when it comes to financial success. However, in an attempt to speed up this process, we try to take shortcuts, but as wisdom teaches us, the longest path is often the quickest. But given that you probably don't want to accept that harsh truth, I'll share with you the only way to speed up this process, which is to make more money. Now, this will inevitably raise you out of the position of a low-income earner, but I'm guessing that's already something you're striving to do, and let me tell you, it's worth it. If you simply doubled your monthly contribution by working a few extra hours a month, you would more than double your future wealth, or cut down your time to 7 figures from 40 years down to just 33. And given that I just saved you 7 years of your life, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button below if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. Therefore, if you employ all the steps I just shared, you will become a millionaire. I can promise that. However, when you get there, you may have a rude awakening, which I want to talk about now. I'm sure you've heard of this nasty thing called inflation, and this one financial phenomenon can ruin your future rich lifestyle if you let it. What do I mean by that? Let me explain. You see, it's great to talk about investing money every month and playing around with return figures in order to see what it takes to become a millionaire. However, what I've noticed is that whenever someone sells you the dream of this path to riches, they leave out one very important point, which is the effects of inflation. So, to avoid being another compound interest dream seller, I need to pull back the curtain on what inflation will do to your money when you pursue this path to financial success. If we assume an average inflation rate of 3% for the next 40 years, that $1 million we've been talking about will only have a value of roughly $306,000. So yes, on paper, you will have $1 million. But when bread is $9 a loaf and houses start at $1 million, those 7 figures in your portfolio won't get you as far as you thought. Therefore, what I suggest people do is factor in inflation prior to starting their investing journey. So in this case, if you wanted to have $1 million in 40 years, assuming an average inflation rate of 3%, you would need to invest towards a target of $3.5 million or contribute $130 a week for the next 4 decades. Fortunately, I came to learn just how punishing inflation is on our goal of retiring a millionaire, and this led me to starting to freelance online. Now, I make a few $1,000s a month and teach others how to do the same, which you can learn more about by following the link I've left in the description below. Now, I know how crippling inflation is on your future wealth isn't the news that you wanted to hear, but better to be prepared and adjust accordingly than get 40 years down the line and regret never having known this one wrinkle in your plan for financial success. Sadly, this is one truth about money. The rich know that most people don't. And if you want to learn other money rules the rich are keeping from us, click on this next video and let's get started.